A human being can have no greater honor, privilege, or responsibility than to prevent the death of a fellow human being. Usually as lawyers, our job is to react to something that's already happened. Here today we have an opportunity to proact, to act in a preventive capacity, to do something to prevent a horrible, horrible crime from occurring. My religious tradition, as well as the Islamic religious tradition, share in common the statement that he who saves even a single human life, it is as if they have saved the entire world. As was stated previously by people who know more than I do, what the United States can do is so simple and so obvious. We have the power to prevent this from happening. We have the power to prevent the camp from closing. We have the power to make the Iraqi government act responsibly. And so Elie Wiesel taught us that the major lesson of the Holocaust is always believe the threats of your enemies more than the promises of your friends. And we're seeing that presented so dramatically here today. The threats of the enemies of the residents of Camp Ashraf are so clear they're not trying to hide anything. Listen to the loudspeakers. Listen to what they're saying. They're not hiding their intentions. And then what about the promises? The United States made promises. Great countries keep their promises. Moral people keep their promises. We have an obligation to keep our promises that we made to those people who we disarmed. When we told them that they had to give up any kind of arms, we promised them protection. There are obligations that come with promises. Obligations under law, obligations under diplomacy, obligations under morality. And so, with those considerations in mind, last Friday, I traveled to The Hague and met with the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. And I presented him with a draft indictment against named and specific individuals in Iran for committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, incitement to genocide, solicitation of genocide. And he took the indictment from me, and he looked at it and he read it, and then I said to him, Mr. Ocampo, do you know who the witnesses to those crimes are? He said, you have witnesses? I said, yes. And I presented him with 24 witness statements, statements of people in Camp Ashraf. And I said, do you know what's happening to these witnesses? Just like the mafia kills its witnesses, the Iranian mullahs, the Iranian mafia have been killing the witnesses to the genocide that they're planning, to the crimes against humanity they've committed, to the crimes that they have incited. And that's one of the reasons why there is such a great interest among the Iranian mullahs in making sure that the witnesses to murder, the witnesses to torture, the witnesses to genocide, the witnesses in Camp Ashraf are never allowed to leave there alive. And I said to him, Mr. Ocampo, you have an obligation as a prosecutor to protect your witnesses. There are many, many other remedies as well that can be practiced. And I can tell you I was encouraged by the chief prosecutor in The Hague to do whatever was possible to expand the jurisdiction of the court, to include potential horrible crimes. Nothing that that court could do would be more important than to prevent an imminent killing, mass killing, and crime against humanity. And so, what are the options that are now available to the international community? The first and most obvious option is to persuade the United States to do the right thing. It's interesting that Ambassador Rئيس correctly mentioned Samantha Power's great book, A Problem from Hell. Samantha was my student at Harvard Law School, and I gave her leave to go off and go to various foreign countries when she was my student